I knew the moment they stared too long that this place wasn't going to be easy. And that's how our story started. The day my boyfriend and I moved into a quiet, picture-perfect neighborhood where lawns were trimmed. Like military haircuts, and smiles only lasted as long as you followed the rules. And visually we couldn't have been more different. I'm tall, broad-shouldered, muscular from years of lifting, beard trimmed sharp, the kind of guy people expect to be loud or intimidating. While he's slim, soft-spoken, skinny in a way that makes strangers underestimate him. Thoughtful eyes, gentle movements, the calm to my fire. And we didn't even get the boxers inside before the looks started. The whispers, the HOA president classic Karen haircut, clipboard glued to her chest like a shield, standing across the street, pretending to water plants that were already drowning. Watching us unload like we were unloading contraband. And I remember squeezing his hand and thinking, here we go, because within a week, the letter started. Not directly saying we, Dan T, want gay people here, but dancing around it with phrases like community standards, appropriate behavior, and concerns raised by neighbors. And every time I read one, my chest tightened while he tried to laugh it off, saying maybe they're just strict, but I'd seen this before, that fake politeness, masking something ugly, and it escalated fast. Complaints about us standing too close in our driveway, about our voices being too expressive, about guests staying too late, even though we were quieter than half the block. And it was always framed like a rule violation, but delivered with that tone that said you, Don T, belong. And the first HOA meeting we attended felt like walking into a courtroom where the verdict was already decided. People staring at my arms like I was a threat, at him like he was a mistake, and Karen smiling tightly as she explained how this was a family-oriented neighborhood, emphasizing the word family like it excluded us by default. And that's when the sides started forming, even if no one said it out loud yet. Because some neighbors nodded along while others shifted uncomfortably, and when I stood up heart pounding, hands clenched, trying not to look like the stereotype they wanted me to, I said calmly that we paid our dues, followed the rules, and loved our home. And the silence afterward was heavy, broken only when an older woman 2 rows back quietly said, "They haven't done anything wrong." And I swear that sentence hit harder than any insult because it cracked the room, just a little. And after that things got worse before they got better. Because the HOA doubled down, inspections started happening at weird hours. Fines appeared for things no one else got fined for, like trash cans being an inch too far out, or lights being too bright. And every time I'd feel my anger spike while he'd ground me, reminding me we weren't alone. Because quietly, slowly, neighbors started choosing sides. Like the guy across the street who brought us cookies one night and whispered that his brother was gay, or the family next door who waved more openly, or the teenager down the block who painted a tiny rainbow heart on their backpack and smiled, and nervously at us like we were proof that staying was possible. And the breaking point came when Karen sent a formal notice claiming our lifestyle was causing discomfort and suggesting we consider relocating for the harmony of the community. And I saw red, because that wasn't coded anymore. That was a shove. And for the first time my boyfriend cried, not loudly, not dramatically, just silent tears that soaked into my shirt while he apologized for making things harder. And that's when I snapped internally. Not with fists or shouting, but with resolve. Because no one gets to make the person you love feel like a burden for existing. So we documented everything, every letter, every fine, every sideways comment, caught on door cameras. And when the next HOA meeting rolled around, we came prepared, not just with evidence, but with allies. Because word had spread, because people don't like bullies once they see the pattern. And when Karen stood up to present another motion against us, the room didn't feel the same anymore. Because before she could finish, one neighbor stood up, then another, talking about selective enforcement, about harassment, about how rules were being used as weapons. And I watched Karen's smile fracture as control slipped through her fingers. And the final blow came when a lawyer from 2 houses down, quiet guy, never thought much of him, introduced himself formally and explained, very calmly, how what the HOA was doing bordered on discrimination, and how lawsuits have a way of making community harmony very expensive. And the room went dead silent. And in that moment it was clear the neighborhood had chosen sides, not because we were perfect or loud or special, but because injustice is obvious once someone points at it. And when the vote was called to dismiss the motion against us, it failed, publicly, decisively, and Karen sat there stunned. Cliffball useless, power gone, And afterward people came up to us, shaking hands, hugging him, clapping me on the back, telling us to stay, to live, to be visible. And walking home that night under streetlights that suddenly felt warmer, I realized something important. I may look like the strong one, the muscular guy who can handle anything, but it was his quiet resilience, his refusal to disappear, that actually changed the neighborhood. And as we unlocked our door, save for now, I knew this place would never be the same again. Not because we fought back with anger, but because we stayed. And sometimes that's the bravest thing you can do.